was lost, but now I'm found.
All right.
I'm a child of Israel.
All right, come on in.
Please give me the strength to stand today.
All right.
With my eyes towards the east, show me the way to Zion. I'm on my knees.
I'm on my knees. Come on.
Laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please. Please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Place my feet, Lord, guide my path. Show me the way to Zion. I opened up the book and see that the apple of your eye included me. And through the tribulation, I know I must stand for a new heaven, a new earth. Show me the way to Zion. I'm on my knees, laying my life on the line. I'm begging, please.
Hit the button. Let's drive the traffic here for the
Please
sound. Come
don't
on.
let me fall. Give me the strength. Place my feet, guide my path. Show me the way to Zion. I feel the Spirit calling me, drawing me back home. Oh, been suffering with my family. I know it won't be long. One day you're gonna look for me, and I'll be gone home. Yeah, Israel is calling us back home to Zion.
Go ahead, man.
I'm on my knees. I lay down my life. I'm begging, please. Please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Give me the strength. Place my feet, guide my path. Show me the way to Zion. I'm on my knees, laying my life on the line.
All right.
Please don't let me fall. Give me the strength. Place my feet, guide my path. Show me the way to Zion.
Shalom, brothers and sisters. Shabbat Shalom. I'm Elder Ricard Shiar, along with Elder Lawyer, for our weekly Sabbath lesson. First and foremost, we give all praises to the Most High, Ahaya, Bahashem Yeshaya, Wa Rawak. That's the God of Israel, the God who gave the laws, statutes, and commandments to the children of Israel. He gave that law to us so that we can be on the right side of judgment and be a light to the Gentiles and to eventually judge the world. That's our true position. That's the purpose, the reason we were born. Now, I'm going into this today. Our title, Know your enemies and value your friends. Now, why am I breaking this down? A timely lesson in a time in which what? We're walking in the valley of the shadow of death, not knowing exactly who to trust, who to listen to, who to cleave to. So I thought I would take this lesson today, and I have other information I want to go into, but I really want to focus on the message from the Most High in His scriptures, in His word, to give a word of encouragement and understanding of what to do going forward with us being His church and you and I and us being His people. I would rather talk about us first, and then we can go into the enemy. Know your enemies and value your friends. Now, one reason I know for sure to why we don't know what an enemy is, because the majority of us didn't learn didn't learn how to choose or know a friend. We never quantified what a friend is. Why? Because in order to understand what a friend is, we must first be friends of God. And some people don't understand what that means. What does that mean to be a friend of God? Well, if you don't know His friendship, you're going to go through life, confused to why relationships continue to fragment and destroy, because we choose wrong in the first place. We didn't understand the structure or the understanding of friend according to God. Now, by not becoming a friend of God first, we find it hard to keep friends, not knowing what a friend is. Right? So check this out. I'm going to break it down today. Because too many times what happens, you can go check that out real quick. Too many times what happens is this. I need you all to focus with me. We go through life with resentment. And that resentment comes from broken relationships and what? Failed expectations. We had expectations of people that failed us, which leads to dysfunction, darkness, and eventually non-trust. See? And that's where the enemy comes in. We get let down over and over again, expecting a person to fill a void that was meant to be filled by the Most High first. See? We're going to talk about this today. Expecting a person to fulfill a void that only the Most High can fulfill. Friends. Know your enemies and value your friends. Well, you don't know what a friend is if you don't know what being a friend of God is first. And from there, He directs our paths and our relationships. Okay? He directs our path. He directs our relationships in order. Because obviously, we choose wrong because we don't know right. We choose the wrong circles. We have expectations that fail because we need direction. If we know what a friend is, God, we can keep our friends because we choose our friends according to Him. Now, let's give some examples real quick. Okay? Let's give some examples. Let's go to James, the 2nd chapter, the book of James in the epistles. Follow me. James 2, and Elder Lawyer, I need you to read 23.
Yes, sir. And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed God, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness.
He believed the Most High, and it was imputed in him of righteousness. Read it again.
And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed God, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness.
For righteousness. That was that relationship first. He was in agreement with the Almighty, and it was counted as what? True, righteous. This is what it means to have what? A true relationship with God. We as Christians use that phrase all the time. I got a personal relationship with God. Well, the majority of Christians, you don't have a relationship with Him because you haven't been taught. We haven't been taught in church what it means to be a friend of Him. See? Read.
And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed God, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness.
For righteousness, go on.
And he was called the friend of God.
And he was called what?
The friend of God.
The friend of God. Now that relationship would roll over into any relationships that Abraham would have in the future. Understanding that relationship, he knew what relationships to stay in. He knew how to choose a friend, and he knew according to God's law who and what to avoid. Therefore, no chaos, division, or destruction could come amongst his circle to destroy his friends. Are you following me here? You must choose right with God first before choosing. Okay? You must have that relationship and know what that is to know light from darkness. You can only invite light into light. See? When darkness, chaos, confusion comes, you know, okay, that's not a friend because I know what a friend is. It's the peace, the serenity that I feel in my relationship with the Most High. See? And when something disturbs that peace, it's what? Grieving the Holy Spirit. You know that's not a friend, that's the enemy. Right? Come on. Read that last piece again.
Yes, sir. James chapter 2, verse number 23. And the scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed God, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness. And he was called a friend, or called the friend of God.
Abraham was called the friend of God. Now, let's go to James. Stay in James with me real quick, because I'm going to tell you what happens. And this is the dysfunction, the generational dysfunction, which allows the enemy to utterly eradicate and decimate our people. It starts off growing up with all types of expectations and views of how we would like our families to be and all these things, but without having God to guide us from that point. Our expectations are dashed to the ground, and we grow resentment and a non-trust with the same people we had so much expectations for. We were ready. We were like, oh man, my life is going to be this, and my family is going to be this, my life is going to be that. And you grow dark when all of those relationships are totally dashed to pieces. And guess what? You grow a non-trust, and a wall is placed up there. That's Satan. This is where Satan wants you. And we're going to call that category the shadow of death. Because don't forget, we broke this down in the academy, how the angels were before the Most High, and Lucifer, one of his names from the heavenly realm, pride grew up in him. He didn't respect that relationship, that friendship that he would have with Christ, God, and the angels, to a degree where that resentment, that pride moved him into the valley of the shadow of death that we would call back then the face of the deep. And that darkness engulfed this whole space that was made into earth. It's that wall and that cloud of darkness that we surround ourselves with after being disappointed. And only the light could shine through to bring some order called day against the night. So what happens is we grow up with all this ambition and expectations for life, and failure after failure. Broken relationships, broken marriages, children didn't end out like we wanted it to. And all of a sudden we begin to do what? Draw dark, become dark. And then we begin to question our relationship with God. And grow what? The shadow of death. We become engulfed in the shadow of death, with dashed expectations, because we didn't know what it meant to be a friend with the Most High first. And this is why Christ came into the world. See? We have to stop going to people to fulfill what only God can first. And by becoming a friend with him, we'll choose our people wisely, so we don't have the disappointments we once experienced in the past. And this is the chance Christ is giving all of us to become a friend like Abraham was a friend with the Most High. Stick with me here. I'm going someplace. Let's go to James 4:4.
Yes, sir. James 4, verse number 4. Ye adulterers and adulteresses.
You adulterers and adulteress. Read.
Know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God?
Don't you know that the friendships of the world is enmity with God? The friendships of the world is carnal. They were meant to leave us broken, confused. See? Don't you know that what? Read it again.
Ye adulterers and adulteresses. Know ye not.
Now, when it says adulterer and adulteresses, elder lawyer, normally one would think of adultery in the physical sense. But that's only one layer. Adulterer and adulteresses, there's also what the Bible deems, and you can read this in the book of Revelation, when it came to the flood that came from the harlot, the whore, the Roman Catholic Church, spiritual fornication. Spiritual fornication is when just being still and just having what the Most High have given you when that isn't enough. When you become covetousness, and then it turns into a spiritual fornication where you're never satisfied. You must go from this religion and get the idea of what they'll bring to bring prosperity in your life. You must go to that religion. You must go to Eastern religions and Asian religions and all these different philosophical ways of living. When the Bible deems that spiritual fornication, that's a person who has no resting place. Oh, the purpose-driven life. Oh, God can send me this. If I think it and make it so. The universe. That is an adulterer. That is an adulteress. You're trying to come in, get to God and get prosperity and a good life the wrong way. There's only one way. So when you start dabbling into all these different philosophies and ways of life and religion, that's an adulterer. That's spiritual fornication. That's our people going after false gods and doing what? Turning our back on our only friend. Our first friend, God. And if we can betray him first, it's impossible to keep friendships intact. Because we don't understand what it means to be loyal to him. We're searching, and guess what? The Bible is simple. There's key bullet points in the Bible that makes us, if we follow these tenets, makes us friends with the Most High, and to have us build vibrant, constructive, loving families who would be what? An asset to society. Read it again, Elder Lawyer. You have something?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, verse 12.
Come on.
For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication.
The devising of idols was what?
The beginning of spiritual fornication.
Was the beginning of spiritual fornication. So with all these Asian philosophies and ways of life our people are learning right now, you don't realize that's deeply rooted adultery against the God of Israel. The purpose-driven life, Oprah Winfrey, when she get these demonic priests and priestesses to come on her show, and I know it sounds all good with the music and the violins and the pianos and the flowers behind her, but she's a top witch. Whether she mean it or understand it, nah. You have to be able to call a spade and call it out and weigh everything and try the spirits through the Bible to identify an enemy. Are they knowingly being operating as witches? And I don't know, but it ain't up to me to figure that out. Whether they're ignorantly doing it or not, I know that whatever they're peddling cannot come into my space. It cannot invade my conscience. Okay? It ain't up to me to figure out why they're in darkness. But we have to be able to identify the darkness to pick our friends. Okay? Now, let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's go to James 4:4. Let's read that again.
Yes, sir. James chapter 4, verse 4. Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that friendship with the world is enmity with God?
Don't you know that friendship with the word is enmity with God? That you're actually aligning yourself as an enemy of God? When we do what? Love the world and choose the world based on world's ambitions and aspirations, you become an enemy of God. See? You want to know why our people are falling out and falling for this campaign and dying in number? That's prophesied too, and I'm going to go into it. Folks, I'm going into it. This is all prophetic what's going on right now. Satan is getting his, and the Most High is preserving his friends the same time. See? Come on.
Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God.
If you are a friend of the world, you are an enemy of the Almighty. But here's our issue. Let's get to the root of what our issue is as a people. How we would regularly trust the enemy to come in. First of all, because we don't have a foundation to discern what an enemy is. And the other thing is, because we've been so broken under the curse, we'll do anything to receive some level of love, of feeling and emotion. Let's get Jeremiah 2:33. See, Satan knows this. If you don't know what a family is according to God, if you don't know what a proper upbringing is and what a proper community is when it comes to the word of God, you'll go throughout all your life longing to seek love and validation. See, that's what'll happen. See, but there's a reverse to that. When you grow as a friend of God, understanding the law, statutes, and commandments, understanding what you want for your family according to God, and have that God cover you, then you're in the reverse of that. You're not seeking love. People are seeking to be around you, to learn what love is. And this world see this as an air of confidence. That's how the world deemed that. No, it's an assurity that I don't need validation from this world because I'm attached. I'm aligned with my friend. And that's the confidence people will see and say, you know what? I want that. I want to be around you. But then you have a screening process and say, well, no, you can't be around me if you cannot be a friend according to God. Now you're setting the standards. You're not out there seeking some validation like the majority of our people right now. Because we don't have love and understand what that is with God, we're seeking to fulfill that void by other people who are exploiting you. See? Let's read it, Elder Lawyer. Let's read it.
Jeremiah chapter 2, verse number 33. Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love?
Why? This is what our God is saying. Why do we tremblest thy way to seek love? See? That's how we project and that's how we hide our insecurities instead of facing them. And the only way we can fulfill those insecurities is get right with our first friend. And stop trying to get with other people to fill that void, to make you, quote unquote, happy. You'll always be disappointed over and over again if you seek man to fulfill what only God can. You'll grow dark and resentful, all of that. Because because you don't know what it means to break down on your knees and say, Lord, I'm not good enough. I've sinned against you. Please become my friend. You'd rather project and say, well, I'm like this because this person broke my heart, or this person did this, or this person did that. And that's why I don't trust anyone. Instead of realizing, nah. All relationships will continue to break if you don't know what it is to have a relationship with the Most High. We got to stop breaking each other and blaming each other when really it's us. What the Most High is going to just allow you to have a fulfilled life in a relationship with everyone else when our relationship isn't right with Him? It's like, nah. You're not going to know a friend unless you are a friend with me first. Right? Let's go with Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Jeremiah 2, verse 33.
Come on.
Why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? Therefore thou hast also taught the wicked ones thy ways.
And that because of this, you are even taught the wicked one thy ways. You become wicked than the wicked ones because our people are trembling to seek love. And by doing so, we're willing to sell out our image, the image of God, to satisfy the enemy. Therefore, you have taken, it says what? You have even taught the wicked how to be wicked. You're overselling wicked just so that they can be entertained. See? Because you're seeking, it's like a child just doing everything they can to get attention from their father, from their family. And this is how we out there in the world right now. Not being respected, being laughed at. And when I look at how they're exploiting us, I'm looking at the entertainment business. I'm looking at what's going on, how they exploiting sisters and all that, and how they got Lizzo out there and she's like this and all that. She's just trying to seek attention. She's just trying to get friends. And the whole world is laughing. Cardi B, Nas X. I don't look at them. I see broken people who always who need a friend.
That's right.
And because they don't know what it is to be friends with the Most High, Satan has exploited them, exploited their insecurities, and have made us a laughing mockery before the whole earth. These are people that were born in dysfunction and didn't resolve their own issues, and Satan utilizes this. Why tremblest thou to seek love? We know we're broken. We know the help we need only God can fulfill, but yet we continue. Well, maybe I can go to school and fulfill this. Well, maybe I get into a relationship and find someone who can help me through this. See? Maybe if I go out and find a friend or get a group of girlfriends or guy friends or whatever the case is, but guess what? When you wake up in the morning, when you're there at night to yourself, you cannot escape what's between your ears, your thoughts. And our thoughts, our people thoughts, by doing evil, begin to torment them. Why tremblest thou to seek love? Why? First of all, in order to know what love is, we must separate light from darkness. The light is the law of God. The light is the law of the Almighty. This makes us friends, like Abraham was a friend. Like Moses, Noah, Joshua, the prophets, how they were friends with God. It was the law that made them friends, and it didn't matter how the world viewed that. Noah could break that relationship that the Most High had with the prophets. That's a real friend. And usually when you're a friend like that, guess what? Your circle is small. Mm-hmm. You have something, Mother Lawyer?
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Proverbs chapter 6, verse number 23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life.
And truth and instruction is the way of life. That's the direction that navigates us through the valley of the shadow of death. See? We navigate through the world for validation and acceptance. And folks, we find ourselves with these broken relationships all through our life Because the majority of people that we are seeking in the world for validation, they are broken without guidance. So it's time we get off this rat race, this Ferris wheel, and say, you know what? I'm going to build a foundation to know what it means to be a friend with the Most High first. So the Most High had to level set it. When we left Egypt, he knew that there was many ideologies, spiritual fornication, all types of evil that was going on in Egypt amongst the Egyptians. So the Most High said, no, I'm going to teach you what it is to be a friend of me. The Egyptians are scattered. They're all over the place. They have many gods, many ideologies, many philosophies. I'm going to teach you what it means to be a friend of the Almighty. And guess what? The Most High don't need a multitude. Because at the end of the day, there will only be 10% that are called friends of the Most High who last through this purge. The purge we're living in right now, only 10% that the Most High deemed friends will make it through. Elder Lawyer, let's go to Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter.
Yes, sir.
So he level set it. When he took us out of Egypt, he said, listen, I'm going to extend this love and friendship I have for Moses. I'm going to extend this to my nation. I took you out for a reason. And whenever I have another debate, if I have another, or conversation with Christians concerning the law, I'm going to ask them. The Most High saved the Israelites out of Egypt. The Egyptians were pagans. And he gave his people a law that would establish a relationship between him and his people. Was that God right or wrong? And there's nothing they can do to prepare themselves to answer that question. Was that God who took the Israelites from amongst pagans and gave them a law, was that God right or wrong? Because that's a relationship between God and his people. The same way when a husband and wife make a vow to be married, that was a vow between what? That was a vow between God and his people. An oath. If you do this, you'll be my people and receive the kingdom of heaven. That was an agreement. So I'm going to ask Christians, because they always say the law, well, I can't keep the law. I can't. Okay, so what are you saying? The God that gave the Israelites the law, was he wrong? Because without the law, we're lost. We're dysfunctional. And we can only seek in darkness. We can only seek in darkness now. Now that we don't have the light or the pathway, we can only seek in darkness to fulfill our insecurities. And if your darkness be light, and if your light be darkness, how great is that darkness? So I'll go back to the Christians and say, well, okay, I'm gonna put the ball in your court. I'm not arguing with you. The God that gave the Israelites the law, statutes, and commandments, was he right or was he wrong? Try that question, folks. And watch you see them scurry away, because if they answer it and said that he was wrong, then outright they're telling you their God is Satan. And if they said, well, hold up, that God was right, then now the ball is in your court to say, well, guess what? It was that God who sent Christ. It was that God that sent Christ. Huh? See, I'm not going to dance around with, let's go to this precept, or you don't understand this, because they have us working backward with the confusion and lies that came through Jesuit philosophy. And they want us arguing these points while they destroy us all. I'm going straight for the jugular. The God who gave the Israelites the law, was he right or wrong? Are you telling me that that was the devil who did that? Or do you follow the devil? Come on, let's go. Deuteronomy 6.
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse number 5.
Come on.
And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart.
See, that's that relationship. That's that friend. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with what?
With all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might.
With all thine heart, all thy soul, and all thine might. This is what he told us, our forefathers. I'm going to show you how you will be what? Forever a friend of mine. Now the Gentiles, they go to Buddha, they go to Allah. The Christians ignorantly go to whom they call Jesus and don't even know who Christ is. Everything is subjective. Everything is individualized. It's my opinion. He's my Jesus. This is how I deem him to be accepted. Nah, it's not subjective. With friends comes what? With friends come accountability. You can't do whatever you want to with a friend and hope to keep that friend, right? But they're telling us this is how God is. You can treat him however you want and he'll still accept you. But that doesn't even work in real time, in real life relationships, where you can do whatever you want and be accepted. That means we'll do more work to try to keep a relationship intact as far as fulfilling the rules in the agreement of a relationship to keep it intact when it comes to people. But we don't even apply those same actions to our relationship with God. Let's go. You have something?
No, sir.
Okay, come on.
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse number 5. And thou
No, let me repeat that again if that went over people's heads. If you got a friend, you understand that friend's pet peeves, and there's certain things you do not to offend that person, valuing their friendship. So there's rules in play to keep a friend. But we're claiming that there is no rules to keep God our friend. See? It's subjective. I can do whatever I want and he'll still love me and accept me. But that doesn't even apply in real time. That's the delusion we've come to in this paganistic evil belief system that's been established called Babylon. Where this God has no rules and he'll be your friend regardless of how you treat him. When that doesn't apply real time in what? In the circle of our friends, that doesn't apply. You say the wrong things, you do something they don't like, and they'll cut you off. So we have more respect for the friendships we develop with people than what? The relationship that we should have had intact first with our God. That's backward. Come on, other lawyer, let's go.
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse number 5. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might.
Come on.
And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children.
Now listen what the Most High said. In order for you to be my friend, You should love me first. I will hedge you and protect you through all of this. But it's not just upon you to be happy, husband and wife. You must bestow these same values on your children. Here's your purpose in earth. Your purpose is to love me with all your heart and all your soul and understand what that means by following my law. And you are to instill this in your children. You must teach your children to be my friend. That's your side of it. My side of it is I'm going to set you up as the children of God, and no nation on earth or the gods they serve would be able to what? Assail or oppose you. I'll fight in front of you. I'll protect you. If you keep this oath, I'll protect you. But you must teach this to your children. Because the day your children begin to believe in the gods of the other nations, eventually they'll be moved into a far land and serve the Gentile nations. I didn't take you out of captivity to act a fool. It comes rules. It comes with rules. The rules is you are now my friends, and that friendship comes with an oath. An agreeable oath that's exercised on both sides. On both sides. The Most High will do what he said he's going to do, and if only we fulfill our side. If we are a friend of the Most High, there is no dysfunctions. There aren't any insecurities. See? None of the stuff we're seeking friendship for or seeking love for doesn't even exist if we keep this agreement. Read.
Verse 7. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou talkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes.
Come on.
And thou shalt write them upon the post of thy house and on thy gates. And it shall be when the Lord thy God hath brought thee into the land which he sware unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee great and goodly cities which thou buildest not, and houses full of all good things which thou fillest not, and wells dig which thou diggest not.
I'll give you everything. If the Gentiles even think of touching you, I'll send the angels to disrupt their conspiracies. I'll fight in areas you don't even know I exist to save you and your children. See? See, and this is why the Gentiles are working so hard to say, no, following the law is wrong. You can't follow the law. If you follow the law, you have to follow it all. If you don't follow it all, you're guilty of it all. So that means I'm following nothing. I'm guilty of it all. So you know what? We can just sin on purpose and it's okay because Jesus covers us. This is why they push that demonic doctrine. That doctrine makes us enemies with God. And if you don't think it doesn't, look at your communities. Does these communities we live in look like these people are friends with God? There's churches everywhere on every other corner. And usually a community, you can understand what the community is based on its spiritual leadership. See? You can tell whether or not it's chaos or order based on its spiritual leadership. You go into the suburbs, there's only one church, and usually they're meeting to make sure the values are instilled in that community that would keep their children intact and protected. You go into the Jewish community. They have their own police, they own this, that, and the other, and the values to uphold that community is taught first religiously in their temples. See? And when you go outside, everything is manicured. There's no trash anywhere. Total order. You can usually find out what's going on in a community based on their religious what? Hierarchy. So here's the hierarchy. This is what's going on in our communities. God don't want you to follow the law. It's okay. If you follow one part of the law, you're breaking it all. So just figure it out as you go along. Just love Jesus. Praise Jesus, confess his name, but yet sin against the Jesus, the Most High God of Israel sent. So usually when you look at a community, it's a direct sign of bad religious, in our communities, bad what they would call religious leadership. Look at our communities. Well, that's the God that's ruling in these Christian churches. There's no order, and they're teaching that. And the Most High says, you know what? If you're going to be enemies of mine, I'm not fixing anything for you. I'm not fixing nothing for you. Here it is. We call this chaos happiness. We try to find happiness in the midst of chaos. I need y'all to understand that we have to first start from the beginning now. We need to go back to the law and say, you know what? All right, God, how do we become your friend? This isn't working. The Christian churches have forsaken God. The Muslims, they've been straight out Satanists from the beginning who rejected Christ. So it's upon us as individuals to say, you know what? Lord, I'm going to become your friend. I'll become your friend, and we'll start someplace else. Finish reading, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse number 12. Then beware lest thou forget the Lord, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt.
Now he says, beware lest you forget the Lord who brought you here. Don't ever forget this moment. So anytime I'm speaking to a Christian, they want to talk about the law and all that. Listen, don't come to me talking about the laws done away with. In a building you call a church that you know needs law. Molestation, perversions, all of these things that's now a norm when reported from our black churches, from our churches. How dare you come and claim the law is done away with? This? No other place need law more than us. Pastors running around and doing whatever they wanted to do. Here it is, the churches are totally decimated to a degree where the people, guess what? The people in the community know that the churches are a laughing stock. But yet you keep repeating and regurgitating this thing, no law, no law, no law. Now the Most High says, I'll tell you what, if you forget this law, read.
Then beware lest thou forget the Lord, which broughtest thee forth out of the land of Egypt,
from
the house of bondage.
Come on.
Thou shalt fear the Lord thy God, and serve him, and shalt swear by his name. You shall not go after other gods.
You shall not go after other gods. You shall not go after other gods. And see, and that's the issue our God, the God of Israel, has with these religious leaders. They can be good orators. They can actually quantify our current plights. But the Most High has a controversy. He has a problem with them. Anytime, it doesn't matter how eloquent you are, you can actually uphold another God, you are an enemy. And it doesn't matter how articulate or gifted you are as a speaker. And I'm going to put it out there. Those are the religious leaders out there. Eloquent, even though it's hard for me to even say things because I understand some of these people have all good intentions. They're enemies of God. People like the Nation of Islam and all that. You're saying all the good things we need to hear, societal-wise, as far as what the enemy's doing. But you're not telling people how to become friends with God. How did we get here? We got here for breaking God's law. Farrakhan and all these others, how eloquent they are in actually breaking down socio-economic scenarios, societal scenarios when it comes to the white man, they are lacking when it comes to preaching what it means to connect back with our God. You're so focused on trying to break down the white man. We get back with our God. Who's going to take care of the white man? The same God who set him up. So we tend to make the white man the whole focus concerning enemy. Know your friends, know your enemy, and take heed of your friends. We tend to just focus on the white man, and we make him even more important than getting back with the Most High, who set the white man up. Okay, and why did he set the white man up? Because we disobeyed God. We working backward. That's like me going downstairs. I'm just say hypothetical. Okay, an analogy. I'm going downstairs. I'm a child. I did something wrong. I was out all night and I was supposed to be home at a certain time. I'm a kid. My father was concerned and he beat the living daylights out of me for disobeying him. Right? But instead of me doing what it takes to get back under the graces of my father so that he can forgive me and accept me back, I go downstairs and find the belt he whipped me with and say, it's your fault. Every time I do something wrong, you're coming with this belt. It's you. And I'm sitting there, I'm fighting with the belt. And I'm tussling with the belt. I'm like, and guess what? And it's deep that I'm bringing this analogy because I remember times growing up on Diamond Street, North Philadelphia, where me and my sister and us, we knew we were doing wrong. And we went and hid the belt so that my father couldn't find it. And this is what happens when we focus solely on the white man. We think we focus on that. It leads us where we can show all the bad the belt can do and what it has done. You whipped me one time. You almost hung me. You know, these whips on my back and I had to put grease on my back and all that. We so busy focusing on that we have forgotten why we were whipped in the first place. We just forget all together. We just focus on the belt. Right?
That's right.
When if we get back with the Most High, go back to when he gave us the law, he'll take care of any enemy that's coming up against us. But we have to know what it means to be friends with him first so that he can forgive us and take us back into his grace. See? And there's no way, like I mentioned earlier, that we know that we can understand how to be friends with one another if we don't know what it is to be a friend with God first. We have all these lofty expectations, putting that on people, and that's too much to bear for a person. They shouldn't have to bear fulfilling a void that only God can fill. Right? Where are you, elder lawyer?
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse number 14.
Read.
Ye shall not go after other gods, of the gods of the people which are round about you.
Come on.
For the Lord thy God is a jealous God among you, lest the anger of the Lord thy God be kindled against thee, and destroy thee from off the face of the earth.
Off the face of the earth. Now, the face of the area he's talking about is kicking us out of Eden, like he did our father Adam. We would lose our homeland for disobedience, because the agreement taking us out of captivity is that I'll give you a land flowing with milk and honey if you continue in my grace, if you continue to be my friends and teach your children to be my friend. Men, you must be the provider. You must uphold me as the image of God, and the woman in the house will help meet your expectations I have of you. And you will teach that to the children. Everyone has a role. Everyone has a duty. And there's never an excuse of why you cannot fulfill your duty. I hear people come with all these excuses. Well, I can't do this because he's that. Or I can't do this because she's that. No, it has nothing to do with him or you. It has everything to do with your obligation, your oath with your friend, the Most High. There's no excuse to why we're not fulfilling our portion, our part of the agreement. Well, he did this, so I ain't gonna do this. Well, she doing this, well, I can't do this. Nah. That's dysfunction. That's an excuse. That's not becoming accountable. See? Come on, other lawyer. Now, read a few more verses, and I'm going to break something down real quick. Read.
Yes, sir. Verse number 16. Deuteronomy 6, verse 16. Ye shall not tempt the Lord your God as ye tempted him in Massah.
That means try him. And sometimes we push the envelope and say, well, you know what? He loved me. He loved me so much where he's not going to do anything if I keep turning my back on him and sinning against him. He's not going to do it. He loved me too much. He's God. He's all loving. And we tempt him. See? So what happens? Go ahead, elder lawyer.
Yes, sir. Verse 17. Ye shall diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your God and his testimonies.
Do what?
Ye shall diligently keep the commandments of the Lord your God and his testimonies.
You should diligently keep this. That means this is your first job. Not some temporary occupation you deemed to appear successful amongst your peers. Yeah, I got a degree in biology and I work for this corp, that corp. What? Satan's corp. That has no merit and it doesn't move the needle for the kingdom of heaven. See? We try to put our accomplishments out there as if the Most High is looking at your degrees and saying, well, okay, yeah, he or she, I definitely need them for the kingdom of heaven. The Most High could care less about your crappy pieces of paper. Let's read it again. And this is what it is. And this is why even when we go on shows and do certain things, people try to do what? They try to see if they can, if they try to put out qualifiers. They try to put out, make it, or what is your qualifier to be able to actually, give advice? My qualifier is that I'm a child of Israel. My qualifier is that I'm a black man who have suffered oppression for doing what? For the generational curse of breaking the law, statutes, and commandments of my God. That's what qualifies me. We have our papers right here. It's called the Bible. The Bible qualifies us. Oh, where did you go to school? Where did you go with this? Wait, the Most High could care less about your stupid pieces of paper. You just do that to get some level of accreditation or some level of authority to be revered amongst peers, people. It doesn't work with the Most High. The law, statutes, and commandments is the qualifier that makes us friends with him. And that's what's wrong with this world. Many people go to all these different schools and you know darn well you're not going to use that degree. That degree is not going to transfer anywhere in the real world. But you're doing this for status reasons. To be looked upon as a success amongst our people. But when you look into the communities altogether, you can see that our communities has failed. And it's just, you just want to get some level of accreditation and say, well, I'm better than them, when all of us are suffering. We get in debt, take those pieces of paper, and then you ask, well, what do you actually do? And not 10 times out of 10, the jobs that people get after college has nothing to do with the degree they acquired. It's about how it looks in the community. Oh, he went to school. She went to school. Yeah, she's different than the rest of us. It's that thing. It's that pride having others who are down there, totally destitute and distraught. Look at you as if you've achieved something while all of us suffer. While all the people suffer. You lied to yourself, and guess what? You're not a friend of God. Because that degree doesn't transfer into us helping our people. It only severs you out as some level of an authority. And 9 times out of 10, the enemy will use those accreditations or all those accolades you got in the world to actually come into the community and to push their campaign to kill us. That's an enemy of God. Because nothing you're getting out there is helping us anyway. Let's go, other lawyer.
Yes, sir. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse number 18. And thou shalt do that which is right and good in the sight of the Lord, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest go and possess the good land which the Lord sware unto thy fathers.
So by doing so, the Most High gave an oath that he would put us back in the land of Israel. And eventually, when Christ returns, that will happen, but not until a purge. Folks, we're living the purge. Let's talk about it. Elder lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Let's first go into the law. Right? Get Isaiah 6 and 10 real quick.
Isaiah chapter 6, verse number 10.
Read.
Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes.
So what did the Most High do? We didn't follow the law. He says, you know what? Make their hearts heavy. Shut their eyes. Have them walk in darkness. Folks, the majority of people you seeing out there making the wrong choices, this is them. Starting with the priests, the preachers, those who claim to be called by God. Close their eyes. the blind leadeth the blind, they will both fall in a ditch. These are not my friends. Read.
Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they shall see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and convert and be healed.
Come on.
Then said I, Lo, how long? And he answered.
You Isaiah 6, right?
Yes, sir.
Read.
And he said, how long? And he answered, until the cities be wasted without inhabitant.
Until the cities be wasted without inhabitants. Until Israel is totally desolate of its people. The Most High made an agreement and said if we followed that agreement as friends, he would preserve us and our children alive on the land. If we broke the law and continue to fall to the philosophies and the ideologies of the Gentiles, Buddha, Allah, and all Catholic, Jesus, Mary. And if we started to dabble into this Babylonian satanic religions, he's going to take us off the land. What good is us being on the land when we're following the ways of our enemies? You might as well serve them. You don't want to serve me. So we turned our backs on our God. Read.
Verse 11, Then he said, Lord, how long? And he answered, Until the cities be wasted without inhabitant, and the houses without man, and the land be utterly desolate. And the Lord have removed men far away, and there be a great forsaking in the midst of the land.
Come on.
But yet in it shall be a tenth.
But in it shall be a what?
A tenth.
10% will be preserved for the kingdom of heaven. There will be left out of all the desolation a tenth. 10%. Now check that out. That's written in the law of the heavens that was established through the order of Melchizedek. Abraham, and I'm going into this tomorrow, Abraham, the promised seed, after the slaughter against the kings of Sodom and others, 10% he gave the Melchizedek. And we know Melchizedek was Shem. 10%. The priesthood, the tithing, 10% in respect of the elder or bishop that's established. The congregation during the priesthood of Levi gave 10%. And it tell you in Hebrews, the 6th and 7th chapter, that Christ came after that same order, the order of Melchizedek, which means instead of the Levitical priesthood, that the tithe would be according to the churches established under Christ, led by what? And directed by the 7 angels. And at the end, out of all the earth, the Most High is going to collect his 10%. These are they in the earth who are his friends. So what does this mean for everyone else, folks? 90% are going to walk in darkness, the valley of the shadow of death, and they will die. I said it last year when they moved out this campaign that this is a death angel coming through, and the people are walking delusion, are choosing death because they're not friends with God. Here's the reality of the matter. If the Most High have blinded eyes where they cannot see and ears that they cannot hear, and the reason why is because these people, they want to live the delusion. They want to believe the lie. They want to continue being enemies with God. See? This is what they desire. This is what they desire. We must let them choose. What else you have, Brother Lawyer?
Yes, sir. Just more on the 10th. This is Ezekiel chapter 20, verse number 37.
Come on.
And I will cause you to pass under the rod, and I will bring you into the bond of the covenant. When you go to the book of Leviticus chapter 27, verse number 32, we find out that passing under the rod signifies 1/10 of the Lord's sheep being sealed. It says here in the book of Leviticus chapter 27 verse 32, and concerning the tithe of the herd or of the flock, even whatsoever passeth under the rod, like it says in Ezekiel 20, the 10th shall be holy unto the Lord.
The 10th shall be holy unto the Lord. Those that have been friends with the Most High are being navigated through the darkness. We're not confused at all. And guess what? We're hedged. The devil cannot force nothing. And what I'm amazed at is that the majority of the people who claim that the law is done away with, according to God, are now standing in line because they're saying the law claims the law of the world or the law of the land deem this mandatory. So we would choose the law of the land over the laws of God. I need y'all to check this out. The same people that are claiming the law is done away with are saying, well, you got to do it. It's mandatory. It's the law. That's what Fauci's saying. That's what he's saying. That's what she's saying. It's to a point where we would honor the law of the land over the laws of God. Well, guess what? You, listen clearly, you are friends with Satan. And because of that, hold up, get Isaiah 1 and 9. There's a few things I have to bring out here.
Yes, sir. Isaiah chapter 1, verse number 9. Except the Lord of hosts hath left unto us a very small remnant.
Unless the Most High have left unto us a very small remnant,
we should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah.
we would have all died like Sodom and Gomorrah. And you can't tell me the Western world and what's being promoted on TV and everything. You cannot tell me we're not in Sodom and Gomorrah. But out of all of this, the Most High has a 10th that he called friends. A 10th that he calls friends. And it's up to us to decide, are we one of those? That's where free will comes in. It's up to us to decide, will we be friends with God or serve the lesser God that will die with this world? Isaiah 1 and 9 again.
Yes, sir. Isaiah 1, verse 9. Except the Lord had left unto us a very small remnant, we should have been as Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah.
We should have been like unto Sodom and Gomorrah. And that's 1/10. Now, I know there's many people, because guess what? I grew up early years, Israeli Church of UPK, Israeli School of UPK, Church of UPK. And then after that thing dissolved, it been resurrected through YouTube. But let me tell you, we were teaching out on the streets in the early 90s that 2/3 will be cut off and die. Well, that 2/3, folks, is in the wilderness. That's not talking about 2/3 of the earth. Only 1/10 of the earth will make it. And then there will be a purging in the wilderness where 2/3 will be cut off, because there will be rebels in the wilderness who will oppose Christ before we go into the land. 1/10, folks. That's a very small number that will be left. Thank you. 1/10. Okay? Now let's talk about it. If the Most High have sanctioned a time of darkness in this earth, there's nothing we can do about it. Hence the reason for our lesson the other day, our broadcast, let the dead bury the dead. They're not friends of God. They care less what this Bible have to say. The only reason they claim to be Christians and they claim to deal with the Bible, it's really about the status of how they're viewed by people around them. They're using the status as an heir of righteousness, when really, these people don't believe in the Bible. They're friends of the devil. The same way I said earlier, our people use their degrees as some level of accreditation or some level of acceptance or being revered in the community. Well, that's the same as Christians who claim to be Christians. They don't really believe in the Bible. They're not friends of God. They hate God. I'm going to tell you that right out. Now, those are some bold statements, but I'm going to prove what I'm saying. Let's go to Isaiah 4:3, Elder Lawyer. And Isaiah 10:22.
Isaiah chapter 4, verse 3.
Read.
And it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion, and he that remaineth in Jerusalem, shall be called holy, even every one that is written among the living in Jerusalem.
Those that are written among the living in Jerusalem. It's talking about our people. Now, it's not talking about those people over there in Israel fighting, about to go into war in Iran and all. They're not talking about them. Because the majority of those people are Romans. The hierarchy is Rome itself. They're just colonizing the Middle East. Okay, it's not talking about them. It's not talking about a restoration of Edomites going into the land. No. That's talking about there will be a tenth of our people who are friends with the Most High, whom the Most High is saying, who have told the fallen ones here on earth from the heavens, hands off. You will not touch my anointed. See? And they know. See, there's a spiritual law too, where Satan and the fallen ones who rule your politicians and your religious leaders, they're only subjected to those who sin or have an agreement with him. They cannot touch those whom the Most High has preserved to bring forth children for the kingdom of heaven. Hands off. And that's the heavenly law. So if Satan can promote sin, gluttony, evil, fornication, he'll get the numbers he'll have access to control. Because they belong to him anyway. See, that's the spiritual agreement amongst the luminaries. See, I don't know if this went over people's head. There's a certain number of the people who belong to God, whom God loves, who is his friends, that Satan and his angels, they can watch us, and they can watch us all they want. They can try to tempt us all they want. But if we're under God's law and he's our friend, they cannot touch us. See? That's the laws of the luminaries. There's an agreement. So what they do is they'll try to control the 90% that have already chose Satan. These people don't believe in the Bible. They just call themselves Christian. That's an heir of righteousness to be used amongst the shadow of death. I'm going to tell you this right now. They'll just use those to try to attack everyone else because these are Satan's agents. If you hear someone say the law is done away with, we can't follow the law and making law bad. It's like that Eddie Murphy movie where the preacher comes out, evil is good. That's what I think. Good is evil. See? If you hear that, know that these people are friends of the devil. And I'm going to show this. Let's go to Isaiah 10:20. Let's go.
Isaiah chapter 10, verse 20. And it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel, and such as are escaped of the house of Jacob, shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but shall stay upon the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, in truth.
No longer will we trust and stay upon the same people who have destroyed us, our enemies. Read.
But shall stay upon the Lord, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. The remnant shall return, even the remnant of Jacob, unto the mighty God. For though thy people Israel be as the sand of the sea, yet a remnant of them shall return. The consumption decreed shall overflow with righteousness. For the Lord God of hosts shall make a consumption, even determined in the midst of all the land. Therefore thus saith the Lord. Let me keep going.
No, just hold tight.
Yes, sir.
Hold tight. Now I'm going to go into how to recognize those who are with Satan as friends and those who are with the Most High. Now, I quantified it with the law, but there's more. Hold tight. The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited. The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited. The Bible. The Bible. Okay. That's right. Jumping right back in, brothers and sisters. That's right. Know your enemies and value your friends. Okay. First of all, you must know what's an enemy of God. Okay. Listen to me clearly. And what's a friend of the Almighty. Now, if you are against God's law, you're his enemy. So let's quantify this. Because you have many pastors out there that would try to claim and state claim that if no one can follow the law. You'll hear this. No sooner as we drop, you must keep the commandments of God, which is what? An oath, an agreement with the heavens. Okay? So they'll immediately go to Paul and say, well, no one can keep the law. Or if you offended one, you offended all. Not rightly dividing the word of truth. Because Paul didn't break God's law. Paul was correcting the Pharisees and scribes who was using the law to put men in bonds. Okay? He didn't say the law was done away with. So when they go there to show you that a friend of God followed God's law, you go to Paul's writings. Let's go to Romans 7 real quick. Because again, I'm going to bring this around full circle for those who were here from the beginning. The whole context and what we're breaking down is the reason why we can't keep friendships intact and that we keep breaking relationships and all that is because we don't know what it is to be a friend. We haven't been taught to be a friend with God first. And it goes back to getting on code, following God's law. Getting ourselves together, getting that relationship together so that we could have healthy relationships and long-term friendship like our grandparents used to have. Okay, there was one time people would have circle of friends throughout their whole lifetime. But that doesn't exist anymore. Let's go to Romans 7:7. Let's go.
Romans chapter 7, verse 7. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid.
So now Paul is coming back and telling you Christians, is the law sin? Because you out there teaching that the law is wrong, that evil is good. Read.
What shall we say then? Is the law sin?
Is the law sin, which means is the law wrong?
God forbid.
God forbid, which means no. No, the law isn't wrong. The law brings order. The law brings light into darkness. Because you don't know what's wrong or what's sin in the communities unless you first know the law, statutes, and commandments written of in the Bible. So how do we fix our communities if we don't know the law? That's hustling backward. If everything is subjective and it depends on the person whether or not something is a sin, how do we ever correct anything? Read.
What shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid.
No.
Nay, I had not known sin but by the law.
So Paul said, the same Paul that the churches try to use to claim the law is done away with is telling us. He's teaching the church. Just because we're under grace doesn't mean you can now do what? Do away with the law. Because without the law, there's what? Chaos. What was chaos? Chaos was at the face of the deep, the darkness that came with the fallen ones. Only evil can operate in darkness, in disorder. But if you have the law now, you can choose your life and the friends in your life accordingly. And therefore, peace will reign in your home. Peace. I was growing up in a time, and I thank the Most High, my generation probably caught the last end of it, where it doesn't matter how much you love your children. If they broke the laws of God, they were out of there. If you're going to choose man on man love, woman on woman love, and all this other stuff, you wasn't going to stay in our homes. If you were going to smoke, because why? Our parents were what? We understood the longevity that comes with friendship and how to sustain what? Legacy. And it was about, listen, you went across the tracks and you're not bringing that here and going to influence your little brother and your little sister and mess my children up. That was your choice. You getting the Hades out of my house. I remember those days. But now we allow the sin to fester in our home, even when it comes to our children. We try to hold what you would call, we try to hold the line of morality, being parents, but excuse certain activity in our homes when it comes to our children, to a point where women now are letting their daughters have their girlfriends stay over. Or their boy. Let me tell you, it wasn't like that when we were growing up. You couldn't have a young man go into a girl's house and live in her home.
That's right.
You couldn't have that. If you old enough to sleep together, guess what? Somebody gonna make some money and get up out of here. To think of even spending the night in your parents' home was wicked. But guess what? The whole world, including our communities, have made an agreement with Satan. Where now mothers and all that, and fathers aren't in the home because to a degree, we've been incentivized out of it. No one want to talk about that. If people feel that there's no financial obligation, if there's no financial reason to respect the man in the home because he's the provider, then he's expendable. No one want to talk about, they want to talk about the cheating and all this whole stuff. No, men has become expendable. And because of that, the state can come in or child support can come in, whatever the case is. This is what they wanted. They wanted a house. They wanted a society ruled by what? Unruly children raised by women. Because certain things that a man wouldn't go for, sometimes mothers who are natural nurturers will do what? They'll compromise. Get that real quick. They'll compromise it. So I'm just giving it like it is. So it's not no time to blame. It's time to put things back in order. It's not to blame. It's to bring order now. Let's read that last piece again, Elder Lawyer. Romans 7:7.
Romans 7 verse 7. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid.
God forbid.
Nay, I had not known sin but by the law.
I have not known sin but by the law.
For I had not known lust except the law had said, thou shalt not covet.
He would not have known lust unless the law that was given to Moses stated that thou shalt not covet. You should not just follow the desires of your flesh. He wouldn't know that that was bad if the law didn't tell him this, which means there would be no promotion amongst our nation of anything that would lead to covetousness or just fulfilling the flesh. But that's modern day advertisement. See? Back then, that wouldn't have been allowed amongst our people because that's enticing people outside of our obligation. We're breaking ties with our friend, God, to fulfill our personal lust. Guess what? Paul stated that he would not have known that that was evil. He would have just thought that, okay, that's good advertisement. Enticing people to get things they don't want. Back then, we'd have seen that and be like, yo, that's evil. That's against the law. You can't tip people into wanting things, desiring things that not even in their minds. That's control. But through the law, he understood that. See? Read.
Verse number 8 or verse 7.
Come on.
What shall we say then?
What shall we say then?
Is the law sin?
Is the law sin?
God forbid.
No.
Nay, I had not known sin but by the law.
But by the law,
For I had not known lust except the law had said,
he would not have known what lust was unless the law said what?
Thou shalt not covet.
So Paul didn't say the law was done away with. You're liars, Christians. All these talking points, well, I can't follow all 614. You are a liar because guess what? If you followed the 10, it would make the rest mute anyway because a lot of the laws are there because you've broken the 10. So don't come with that 600 something. If you follow the 10, you don't need the other laws that's coming in to restore or to repair damage due to sin. So the laws aren't just the 10 commandments. The rest of the laws usually are laws if you break the 10. How to restore or how to do what? How to make amends for the sins of the 10. So when people claim you can't follow the law and go into 614, that's what? That's aimed towards the unlearned, the ignorant of our community who say, yeah, 614, that's too many. Oh, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 6, 600. Oh, that's too many. It don't have nothing to do with that. Mm-hmm. The rest of the law was made so if you broke the 10. If you follow the 10, you don't have to worry about the rest.
The next time someone mentions 613, ask them where they get that number from. And I guarantee they probably won't be able to tell you where that whole concept of 613 commandments came from.
It came from the enemy. These 613, 600, that's all esoteric Jewish fables. This was all created under Judaism. It has nothing to do with our laws. But finish reading, come on.
Yes, sir. What shall we say then? Is the law sin?
It's the law sin.
God forbid.
Come on.
Nay, I had not known sin but by the law, for I had not known lust except the law had said, Thou shalt not covet.
Come on.
But sin taking occasion by the commandment wrought in me all manner of concupiscence, for without the law sin was dead.
Without the law, sin was dead. That means without the law, we actually don't know exactly what commandments we're breaking. Without the law, you don't know whether or not you're violating God. Mm-hmm. Hereby, what? Becoming enemies of him. How it is that you can fulfill your agreements with your regular friends every day, like I've mentioned earlier. Every day you have a friend and you know, well, if I do this, this person is going to get mad. I can't say this around him or around her. You'll understand the rules when it comes to regular friendships, but don't know what rules the rules that must stand to keep our friendship with God intact. Now, hold that other lawyer. And now, let's go to John 3 and 1. 1 John 3 and 1.
1 John.
Yeah.
1 John chapter 3, verse number 1. Behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God.
Now, what matter of love he bestowed upon us, that now we should be called the sons of God. See? Read.
Behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God. Therefore the world knoweth us not, because it knew him not.
So the world will not have no respect for you following God's law. See? So they're not going to have no respect for you because they don't respect our God. They're not friends of our God. All these Gentiles that you think are doing well, and doctors, lawyers, and scientists and all that, the majority of them are children of the devil. So when you try to compare yourself as far as world status goes to them, it looks like they're winning. It looks like they're winning. Be like, man, he's a biophysicist and that and the other. Nah, you're going to burn in hell. It doesn't matter what your job is. And they'll look at you as if you're less than because they have achieved the status of this world. Read, but they are invisible to our God. See? So we can't tremble to seek love by these cats because why? Read it again.
Behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God. Therefore the world knoweth us not, because it knew him not.
They don't know, they don't respect this truth in God's law in the Bible because they don't know him. Read.
Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doeth not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him.
See, but right now, the world is not recognizing what we shall be. They only see us in our current state. They're sleeping. They are sleeping, folks. In the midst of all this chaos, the Most High is awakening the children of Israel throughout the four corners of the earth. And they don't understand the people they have slept on will one day rule the world. And I'm putting this out there because sometimes we strive to get acceptance by the world. And we have to compromise our morality and our status and relationship with the Most High to receive that acceptance. When if you are of the Most High, understand, you will be rejected by them. They'll look right over there. They'll hate your guts. And guess what? Accept that. It's fine. It comes with the territory. See? Read.
Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doeth not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him.
We shall be like him. Read.
For we shall see him as he is.
Come on.
And every man that hath this hope in him purifieth himself.
So every person that has this hope in themselves, if they have the hope to one day receive the covenant of sons like we did under that cloud coming out of Egypt, read.
And every man that hath this hope in him purifieth himself, even as he is pure. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law.
If you commit sin, you transgress the law. Now, if you commit sin, you become an enemy of God. So if you break God's law on purpose, you are an enemy. Read.
Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law.
What is sin?
For sin is the transgression of the law.
Sin is a transgression of the law. Those are the house rules. Our God said, if you, Israel, break my law, statutes, and commandments, I'm kicking you out of the house. You're not going to just bring all types of foolishness and evil and perversion in my house. And this is why he kicked us off the land. That's the analogy I gave you earlier of when our homes had fathers in it with laws. Now, you can do whatever you want to do now that you come of age and your flesh is getting a little itch, but you're not doing it up in here. That's the way it used to be, because that rule applied to the children of Israel who broke the law and was kicked out of Jerusalem. See? So how do we make amends? How do we get back the land? How do we become part of the 10th? Become friends with the Most High by following the law and instilling it with what? The proper hierarchy of a home, father, wife, children, and instilling the law and the fear of God in them. Order. Order. Finish reading.
Verse 4. Whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law.
Come on.
And ye know that he was manifested to take away our sins, and in him is no sin.
And in him is no sin. Read.
Whosoever abideth in him sinneth not.
Whoever abideth in Christ sinneth not. So you're not sinning on purpose. If you're in Christ and have been purified, recognizing your sin against God's law, you walk in the earth. You can still be in the world, but not of it. And don't fall to temptation and sin that would lead to us becoming enemies. This is what makes us enemies of God. Christ didn't come that we can sin willfully and sin again. So now Christ is what? He's the last opportunity to get right what our fathers didn't. Read.
Verse 6. Whosoever abideth in him sinneth not. Whosoever sinneth have not seen him, neither known him.
Come on.
Little children, let no man deceive you. He that doeth righteousness is righteous, even as he is righteous. He that committeth sin is of the devil.
He that committeth sin is of the devil. So when they're teaching you in these churches that the law is done away with, understand the God you're serving by sinning on purpose. Read.
He that committeth sin is of the devil, for the devil sinneth from the beginning. For this purpose the Son of God was manifested, that he might destroy the works of the devil.
That he might destroy the works of the devil. See? Christ have come to destroy chaos. Like in the beginning, light shined on the face of the deep. The law is our path out of this. Through the law, we're protected, where the devil cannot take us. The death angel is in the earth, and it will take those who belong to him. Because by him, Satan came death. Those that are taking the death today have chosen death. Their choice is death over life, because that's how they live their lives, folks. They have never been in agreement with the Most High in Christ in this Bible. So what we're seeing right now is invasion of the body snatchers. Satan is taking those in the earth before they convert. They've been walking in darkness, denying the Most High, and now the light has come into the world, and he's trying to take as many as he can before the people see the light and convert. Because why? They've always been his friend. These aren't friends of God, and I don't care how we view them. Anyone that make these choices, because guess what? And I'm just using what's going on right now, this COVID thing and all that as an example. that if you follow the Bible and seek God as your friend for guidance, it's easy to know what to do in these times. It's not even a thought of listening to Fauci or anybody else. It's not even a thought about it. I'm looking at my Bible and God is against Fauci. God is against these people. My God said, don't listen to these people. Whether it be Fauci, Gates, whether it be the devil himself, it doesn't matter. Whether it be a black man with a collar who claimed to be a pastor. We must try all spirits through the Bible, which makes what? The choices simple. So I don't even have to worry about what the news is saying and all these things. We follow the laws of God. And anything that's being rolled out in the world, I have to measure what's of God and what isn't. And if God say don't do it, then I'm his friend. This is like me during Pharaoh's time when Pharaoh make a decree to kill the firstborn men and tell the nurses to, a campaign to hire black nurses to kill the children. Me getting on and saying, well, it is a good idea. The government said it. But understand, guess what? We cannot stand in the way. You got to allow these people to make their choices. It's time to pay the piper, folks. Satan is grabbing all those knowing he have a short time and he's dragging them in hell with him. It's death time. Finish reading what you have, Brother Lawyer.
Yes, sir. 1 John chapter 3, verse number 9. Whosoever is born of God doeth not commit sin, for his seed remaineth in him, and he cannot sin, because he is born of God. In this the children of God are manifest.
This is how the children of God are manifest. So this is the line in the sand. How do we know those who belong to Christ and those who belong to Satan? For a long time, people were confused because you had many claiming they were Christians and loved Christ. But when something happens politically in the earth where it's time to make a choice according to the Bible, that's when we find out who is who. What people have been listening to God in the Bible and what people have been always aligned with the God of this world. See, when an emergency comes, a catastrophe comes, no matter what comes to biblical proportions, that's when it's decided in the earth who stands with the Most High and who have always stood with Satan. Finish reading.
In this the children of God are manifest, and the children of the devil. For whosoever...
And the what?
And the children of the devil.
And the what?
And the children of the devil.
And the children of the devil. And see, and this is why I don't buy into this notion the white man is the devil. Because the children are manifest who are the children of the devil based on their actions. Like there's a lot of black people standing up pushing Satan's program. And it's manifest that they are the children of the devil. See? That's why I don't deal with that notion the white man is a devil, because it's absolving the enemies within. It's manifested. It's our people standing up saying, open up their buildings and doing all this stuff to do what? You got it. You got it, folks. To render souls to the devil, to bring souls, dragging them down with him. It's time to pay the piper. Finish reading.
Verse 10. In this the children of God are manifest, and the children of the devil. Whosoever doeth not righteousness is not of God, neither he that loveth not his brother.
Not he that what?
That loveth not his brother.
That loveth not his brother. Read.
For this is the message that ye heard from the beginning, that we should love one another.
That we should love one another. Now, if we love one another, we instill in one another, right? And we hold one another to what? The laws of God. See? Read.
Verse 12. Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one, and slew his brother.
Come on.
And wherefore slew he him? Because his own works were evil, and his brother's righteous.
Come on.
Marvel not, my brethren, if the world hate you.
Marvel not if the world hate you. If you are against what's going on right now, understand, folks, the world will hate your guts because you're not a friend of the devil. There's one thing I want to pull up real quick, if I may. One moment. Y'all need to see this. Hold on. 1 second here. Y'all need to see this, folks. I'm going to pull it up here. Right now, we're in what? A battle for souls. Right? There's a battle for souls right now where Satan is taking his, and the Most High is preserving a remnant out of it. Right? I need y'all to see something real quick. 1 second. Let's get this under, let's see. One second here. Let's put it here. Yeah, put it here. I need y'all to check out something. Check this out. Look at your screen. And I said I'm going to share something when it comes to the apologetics, but I'll do that in a moment before we break down. I need y'all to check this out, folks. Look at what this says. This was a news article the other day on TV. Someone took a screenshot. It says, battle for the soul of the nation. A battle for souls. I thought this was about a cold or a flu. This is a battle for the soul of the nation. So somehow targeting our people with whatever this is about doing what? It's about the souls of the people. If we free the people, Babylon falls. But in order to keep the soul of the nation going, we must progress and target and expedite our campaign against these people. See? It's about what? You got it. It's about a battle for the soul of the nation. So that's what this stuff is for. It's telling you right there. I'm not saying it. It's saying coming up. Possible booster shots. And it's what? It's a battle for the soul of the nations to keep what's left going in America. They just telling you it's out there in plain sight, like someone just mentioned. Satan is taking his. Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Let's go now to Psalms 23 and 4. And Isaiah 9 and 2.
Psalm chapter 23, verse 4. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And folks, we're living in the valley of the shadow of death now. Right now, based on the campaign and what they have rolled out, we can expect to hear about more deaths within 24 hours or within a week than we've ever been used to hearing before. I remember just 10, 15 years ago how it was shocking to hear about 20 years ago, 15, about Michael Jackson dying, about Prince dying. These things were so far in between that it would shock the whole earth when you hear of death. But now it's become so normal. DMX, Hank Aaron, Mary Wilson, all in on. Guess what? The earth have become numb. There's not even time to actually mourn one of our greats before another is out there. We become desensitized to death, not realizing it's our people between the crosshairs. But you know what? That's the agreement they're making. Satan is grabbing who belong to him. His symbols and what he used to control the world. Guess what? If they, before they use to actually their influence and are used to move the needle to Christ's side, he'll take them first. Finish reading.
Psalms 23, verse 4. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil.
We are not to fear what's going on right now. If you are a friend of the Almighty, understand you are protected. Don't try to, if people want to do that, understand they're telling you right out that they belong to the devil. He's always had them. Let the devil have them. Read.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me.
To comfort me. Go to Psalms 91 and 7.
Psalm 91, verse number 7.
And why you think they talking about this is the battle for the soul of America? Folks, they know what time it is. It doesn't matter what they talk about. It doesn't matter what they try to do. They cannot stop the awakening and the rise of the children of Israel in this earth. It's prophecy. So they're rallying. You're going to see the East Indians come out, Chinese come out, everybody that's been working behind the surface to keep this thing going, they're going to show themselves now. It was all about us the whole time, keeping us suppressed. Now they all coming out with swords drawn now. It's a battle. These Negroes are waking up. They're no longer controlled under the Jesuit control of the Christian church. The Christian church captivity, mind control, was their greatest apparatus against us. When that can no longer hold, it went through a transition. Okay? When they seen during the civil rights movement, folks, when they seen our people galvanized through a religious effort using crisis tenet and walks of nonviolence. Y'all put that up. Y'all try to give Martin Luther King the credit. The Jewish people and all that back then understood where they got that from. That if you turn the other cheek and don't render evil for evil, that automatically have it where you will always have the moral high ground. If they can provoke you into some level of terrorism or fighting, now they can have an excuse to rally the whole nation against you. But Christ was in that movement. Nonviolence. Turn the other cheek. That was Martin Luther King didn't learn that of himself. He learned that out of the Bible, where we would have the moral high ground. They say, you know what? We have to take this church away. We have to move this into some other type of movement. And they moved it from that and they went straight into divining, where they started setting up prophetesses and all that other crap, which would undermine the men, which was the face of black Christendom in America. They started setting up prophetesses and diviners and all that, soothsayers. And they segued from there to what? The prosperity movement. Because black people, they like prizes. So tell them that God has a lottery ticket for them. Let's sow seed, and guess what? Pull the lever, and God is going to prosper you on the other side. It was a political movement at first through the Christian church. They had to totally decimate it. It went from that to what? You got it. Prosperity movement. And by them doing that, they can now set up mega churches that would suck the life source out of the communities to be led by Jesuit overseers that was handpicked. And they have decimated the one church that was aligned politically that can stand against them. See? And after they sucked us with the prosperity movement, there was no more community aligned together where there was a voice spiritually against the evil. Boom. Here we go now. All the to-do good people in the community felt they was too good to stay in the community. They had to go to the mega churches where they can network and gain status. And, and it totally sucked all the finances and those who could plan and calculate out of the community. And now look what it has become. It has become a haven for death. That's what it is now. This was a systematic plan by the Jesuits, the Catholic Church, to infiltrate and to destroy it. If they can't control it, they'll destroy it. And I need y'all to look up now in your communities to your churches and check out after this how many churches get turned into apartment buildings. No longer servicing our communities. That was the plan. That was the agreement they made with death. Come on, other lawyer. Let's finish it up. Come on.
Psalms 91, verse 7. 1,000 shall fall at thy side.
That's the time we're living in right now. 1,000 shall fall by one side.
And 10,000 at thy right hand.
And 10,000 at thy right hand.
But it shall not come nigh thee.
But it will not come near you. See that agreement? That's the Most High promising to hedge those who would stand on him when it comes to these choices. Do you believe the devil or do you believe in the God of the Bible? Right now is one of many tests we'll be faced with before the coming of Christ. Right now, these are tests. And now we hear about people dying all over the place. But because we made a choice to stand on the Most High, guess what? The Bible tells you that you're not supposed to defile your temple. If you defile your temple, you shall be destroyed. You're not going to intrude my bloodstream with some evil. This is my temple. This is a gift from God. This belongs to me. And this is a vessel as a living sacrifice for him. He's my friend. See? I belong to him. I don't belong to you. See? So we're going to sit back and just watch it play out. Where the Bible says, guess what? Many people who are willfully ignorant, who have always served Satan, you're going to see them die in number. Read it again.
Psalms 91, verse 7. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand.
That's what you're living in. That's what we're witnessing right now. Read.
But it shall not come nigh thee.
But it shall not come near you. That same God who gave us the law promised us that if we stand on his law and trust in him as a friend, he will protect us. Read.
Verse 8. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked.
You will see the reward of the wicked. We're going to start seeing those who are claiming to be righteous, who are claiming as a facade to appear as better. We're going to start seeing what they were really dealing with in the dark, because what they were really dealing with, only them and our God knows. See? You're going to start seeing it. They're going to start dropping. Boom, 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 boom. Like, oh, I thought this person was nice. I thought this person was this. No, the Most High knew that their heart was wretched, that there was no agreement with him, that their whole life was a facade. Read.
Verse 8. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked, because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation. Exactly.
We've made our God, the God of Israel, Ahia, our refuge. We're going to trust in him. Now, whenever the words, the ink on these pages change to where it says, go down to this medical center and get this, is when we'll do it. When we know these are temples of the devil. How do you know that a lot of these places are temples of the devil? The law tells us that you're not supposed to have the living with the dead. And when you go into a lot of these universities and hospitals and all that, it's supposed to be a place of healing. That's supposed to be separate than the morgue down in the basement. That in of itself tell you that you're going to start here and you're going to end up down there. You're not supposed to have the living, healing was totally separate from the face of death. You're not supposed to even think of death in a healing institution. That's confusing. You're not supposed to have the living with the dead. So when you walk up in those places, understand eventually you've already convinced, it's already out there that you may end up in another wing you didn't come in for. Because the Bible says you're not supposed to have the living with the dead. And even in a lot of these universities, they're testing dead people and skulls and all that in these universities. What the Hades is this? This is the priesthood of death. These institutions. But unless you know the law, you will never understand that. You'll never quantify and break that down. Bernie Mac goes to the hospital and he comes up with pneumonia and is dead the next day. How many people we've grown to know in our neighborhoods who went to the hospital for someone else and died of a mysterious pneumonia? Oh, he caught pneumonia while he was in there. Folks, we've always been attacked by the devil in these institutions. But the Bible is telling us that Satan, the grim reaper, he's reaping souls. Elder Lawyer, let's go to Isaiah 9 and 2. Before we go to Isaiah 9 and 2, let's go to Psalms 50 and 16.
Psalm chapter 50, verse number 16.
Come on.
But unto the wicked God saith,
Unto the wicked God saith,
what hast thou to do to declare my statutes?
What have you done to declare my statutes? How dare you claim to be ministers of God? He's speaking of the wicked. Those that have set up these theologian schools. Those that are claiming to be Christian leaders. If you're telling people to break God's law on purpose, you're wicked. So to the wicked, the Most High have said, what?
What hast thou to do to declare my statutes?
What have you done to declare the statutes of God, to actually try to teach out of this Bible. The unmitigated gall to come out and say, well, okay, this is what God is saying. Here's a word God is giving me from the Bible. Are you kidding me? How can these people listen to them? Because it's the blind leading the blind. But to the wicked, the Most High is saying, what did you do on earth? What is your example in earth? As a friend of mine, to declare the statutes and go teach this book would have made you a minister of me. Read.
Or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth, seeing that thou hatest instruction.
But hold up. How can you claim to take God's instruction or say you down with God and declare the Bible when you're doing what? Hit that last piece again of the lawyer.
Seeing that thou hatest instruction.
You hate the law. The instructions are the laws, statutes, and commandments of God. How can you teach the Bible and hate the law too? That's a contradiction. Read.
Seeing thou hatest instruction, and castest my words behind thee.
And you cast the word of God behind you. And when it comes time to make a decisions, a life or death decisions, you'll choose the wicked media over me. You'll choose a wicked pastor who's against the law over me. Well, guess what? If they are in agreement with death, die then. I cannot protect you. That's your choice. Right? So here we are, brothers and sisters. Last but not least, then we're going to hold Psalms 9 and 2 for Isaiah 9 and 2 for last. But I need you, Elder Lawyer, to go to Sirach, Ecclesiasticus 6 and 7.
Sirach chapter 6 verse 7.
Read.
If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first.
Now, here it is. Know your enemies and value your friends. If you ought to get a friend, prove him first. See? Two cannot walk together lest they be agreed. Read.
If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him.
Be not hasty to credit people. Sometimes we run into people and say, you know what? I just met a person today, man, they're real nice and all that. The Bible says, be not ready to give credit to people. America is a facade. It generates, it's a factory of fakeness. It's a factory of fakeness. Okay? And I'll be examining. Sometimes I'll sit back and examine certain things. I do this. And the bottom line is this. I'm going to show you how fake this world is. That's why the Bible says you got to know if someone is your friend. You have to examine if someone is very nice and cordial and respectful to people they don't know. But give someone who they love, who would look out for them and has always been by their side and protected them and all that, less. How high? They get around somebody straight or someone ain't doing nothing for them. And they're the most nicest people to people who they're not accountable for or to. But yet with you'll always get the ugly side. But like, well, hold up. Shouldn't I be getting all that? Shouldn't I be getting... I know it's in you because I'm witnessing it with how you interact with strangers. Because all of that goodness should be given to those who have worked for it, who have shown their fortitude and show that they've been behind you and love you. So sometimes I'll sit back and I check things out. How people can be a certain type of way and all that in front of other people, fake as I don't know what. But they'll curse out their children. See? It's time to rewire this whole thing. It's a world of fakeness. Like, oh, I should be getting all that. Shouldn't we be getting all that? Okay, I'll do this. You know, it should never be a bad day or whatever the case is when it comes to people who love you, friends. Let's read it.
Verse number 8.
Come on.
For some man is a friend for his own occasion.
And see, this is what lets you know whether or not a person is a friend according to God, or they're a friend for opportunity. Some people are a friend when it benefits them. That's why you can't be ready to give someone what? Credit. Because you don't know why they're being so nice. See? You don't know. Especially in a fake world. We'll be ready to go home. Yeah, I met the nicest person. You know the background. You don't know the dysfunctions because everyone out there have been taught to hide their dysfunctions, to hide what's going on, to give their better self to strangers. That's Babylon, folks. And because we don't know what friends are with these fake relationships, we don't know what it is to be a friend with God. Let's go.
For some man is a friend for his own occasion and will not abide in the day of trouble.
And will not abide in the day of trouble. These are the people that will not abide in a day of trouble, where their friendships or their relationships come with what? A game changer. Well, listen, all bets are off if this happens, or all bets are off, you know. I'm not going to be able to stand with you if this happens. Suppose God did that with us. Suppose he did that with us and didn't give us another opportunity, you know, through Christ to one day receive the promise of sons, and we will receive that. So, but suppose God was like that with us. Oh no, all bets are off. Nah. So you're in this for what? You have game changers. You're not in this to the end. You're in this for your own self. See? Because the Most High wouldn't be that way with us. A real friend, guess what? After David did all that and repented to the Most High still called David friend. David repented. He came back to the Most High. He had a contrite spirit. He rent his clothes. He didn't want to live after sinning against the Most High, after feeling that darkness and void, and the Most High received him back. And this is why we break relationships thinking that we're going to find friends. No, it's not the relationship that's being broken. We're the people that's broken. Looking for other people to fill the void that only the Most High can. And instead of forgiving and going back and fixing, making amends of our relationships, we just find other things to break. And guess what? Blame everyone else because we're perfect. That's the fakeness of Babylon. It can't be me. It can't be me to why every time you look, I'm making another friend. Suppose the Most High was like that. And you'll never understand what having a friend is and keeping it until we first get our friendship right with the Almighty. Bringing this thing back full circle. Read.
Verse 9. And there is a friend who, being turned to enmity and strife, will discover thy reproach.
So then you will have a friend. He's only there for a time. But how do you know this person isn't a friend? Read that last piece again.
And there's a friend who, being turned to enmity and strife, will discover thy reproach.
So you'll have an enemy who will envy you. Something in you. Instead of just respecting who God made in you and we respect each other amicably, no, they'll see other people respecting you and they'll envy that. Why can't that be me? That sounds like Lucifer, doesn't it? So they'll stick around with you, hating your guts, only to try to dig information that will lower you in the eyes of others. I'm going to prove this person isn't all that people see or value or care about. See? They're only there so that they can talk about you and say, well, yeah, you think this person is this. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I've been around them. I didn't. See, that's Satan. They can't stand anyone getting accolades or respect outside themselves. You have people around. And guess what? Here's the sick part about this. We'll know that we have people like this and keep them in our circles without checking them and letting them know, here's the line. If you're going to be my friend, you're going to be my friend. But if you're going to be like that, listen, I have no place because you are destructive. And holding people to task. And how do you hold people to task? Because we don't hold people to task or speak about them until they aim their vitriol against us as individuals. But we allow them to bring hatred about other people and talk about other people in our presence. Well, understand, if they're talking about you in your absence, if they're talking about that person and you're sitting there receiving it, they're talking about you. That's an enemy. Know your friends. And it's almost to a point where you got to become a recluse in this earth. And you know what? That's okay too, because only a tenth is going to make it. Let's go.
Verse 10. Again, some friend is a companion at the table.
Some friend is a companion at the table. They're only with you because they can see the benefit of networking off of you. You're only an opportunity. See? They're only there at the table when there's something that they can benefit from. Read.
Again, some friend is a companion at the table and will not continue in the day of thy affliction.
But when something go down and you go low or whatever the case is, guess what? They'll be on the other side saying, I knew it, but I just didn't want to say anything. Man, yeah, man. The Most High bring all the darkness. That's when you know. That's when you know that you had a serpent amongst you the whole time, because they're waiting for your downfall. That's Satan. When a real friend would understand that it comes with, when you meet a person come with faults. They come with faults. But being a friend, you cover the faults of your friend. You cover their nakedness. You try to help them improve and try to highlight their good points so that their negative isn't seen. That's what a friend does. But an enemy will be out there in public. Your faults will be there. And they'll pull people to the side and be like, well, hey, that's lawyer. That's how he is. You know, that's just how he is sometimes.
Right.
You know what I mean? They'll be poking people, be like, this is what I have to deal with, you know. But, you know, he's cool, though. But, you know, this is what I got to deal with sometimes. Automatically, that person gets what? A moral high grade over, because this person can see your nakedness and know that, okay, you know, that's how lawyer is sometimes, you know. That's not a friend. That's not a friend. Finish reading.
Verse number 11. But in thy prosperity he will be as thyself.
But when you're getting paid or your prosperity, you can benefit their pockets, they will be just like you. That means without you, there is no them. They're always there in your hip pocket because there's something to offer. Read.
It says, and will be bold over thy servants.
They will be bold over your servants. Now they'll have entitlement. They're in your home telling your children, your people in your home. Yeah, can you? Yeah. I'm saying, yeah. Sitting back, yeah. Let me get a tea real quick. They'll be like, yeah. I'll take. I want a lemon mocha, you know, and with extra frost. They directing people in your house to get food and all that. Like, hold up, dude. This is my house, man. You supposed to ask me. Can you ask them? You out of the pocket. As a matter of fact, you go sit on a stoop. You supposed to ask me to ask people in my home. Yo, is it okay if I get one? Yeah, babe, make it 2. No, this guy in your house telling your girl, yeah, I'll take a Corona with lemon in it. Yo, man, you got lime? You have to watch people who come into your house and direct the people in your home. Because really, on the surface, they want to replace you. That's their real intent. You can't come into someone's home and direct their wife and children. That's a spirit of covetousness, and that tells you if a man will allow it, eventually, guess what? If she'll listen to what I have to say and follow and right over this guy, hey. And then you sit there talking, and you're like, yeah, brother, I heard you got a king-size bed the other day. You got a king-size bed. You know, it's pillow top or what? Like, yo, what you concerned about with my man?
Right.
No, your wife told me you got a pillow top.
Right.
That's where it goes, folks. When a guy comes into your home or a woman comes into your home directing people in your house, it's because they want your bed. Know what a friend is. Read.
Verse 12. If thou be brought low, he will be against thee.
But if you be brought low, he was the whole time there for you, all the time. But you get caught in a fault or something happens, and guess what? You'll see that was the enemy the whole time. It could be the same person you gave a bed to. It can give a same person you gave finances to. Same people you put into a home. But when something happens with you, that's when you're going to know that they were your enemy. See, when everything is good, they can be as you. But when something go wrong and you need their help and support, boy, they're going to look to bury you. Folks, I don't think y'all understand. I'm seeing these numbers go up to 3,200 now. I can't stay too long, but I think every brother and sister out here getting the gist of, man, how many people that I thought was friends were really my enemies. That means I'm bad at choosing what a friend is. And sometimes what it is we want to get to other people to try to validate whether or not a person is a friend. We get to understand what a friend is when we become a friend of God. And the Most High will tell us straight out, well, you read the scriptures, you know the law, you understand that, you know that guy ain't right for you. You know this person ain't right for you because they are against me. And that's a problem. We get people to try to accept us first, but not accept our God. That lets you know where you stand. Where you're walking and wearing what you believe in front of you. And it's the Most High that's choosing friends for us. Oh man, you don't eat this, you don't do this. Man. And when they find out what you believe and they run away, guess what? You know. Read that last piece again, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. If thou be brought low, this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 6, verse number 12. If thou be brought low, he will be against thee and will hide himself from thy face.
Someone says, what is it if a spouse is like that too? And that's the whole point. The whole point is we choose according to the flesh. And we don't choose according to whether or not this person is compatible according to the Most High. See? And that's what it comes down to. That's why it says, go back to the beginning of this video to break it all down for you. Because the two people have to be in agreement with the Most High so that the children can become friends of God. So that means everyone is in their proper order. There shouldn't be no argument back and forth when it comes to the home. The man is the head. The woman is the helpmeet, and they both instill what? The fear of God in their children. That's duty. And if everyone is doing their part, there is no friction. See? So go back to the video from the beginning and check it out. There is no friction. There's no one trying to trample on each other's duties. And that's what marriage is. Marriage is duty. It isn't this love crap that everyone is talking about. I need a Harlequin novel or Disney ending and all that. That's not what love is. Love is duty. It's not Disney. And the duty first comes with the Most High. Our position according to why we were created. And that's why we're back to Jeremiah 2:33. While tremblest thou to seek love. And this is why we run into all these broken and end up with broken relationships. We're going into relationships with a person, be it a wife or whatever the case is, a husband, to try to fill a void that only God can. You will not get a friend and keep it unless we first understand what being a friend of God is. Let's go.
Verse number 13. Separate thyself from thine enemies.
Separate thyself from thine enemies. An enemy is a person who resents you in heart. The Bible says little children don't love in word and tongue, but in deed. You know you love someone or someone love you through their softness, through their care for you. And it's not, well, I'm going to do this if you do this. No. If you appreciate someone, you care for them like a friend, like the Most High would care for them. And it's not, well, I'll be this if you be that, or I'll be this circular place that keeps us all still. No, I'm going to be right regardless of what this person is. I'm going to do my duty that the Most High said and fulfill that duty according to the scriptures. Of me being a man, I'm going to fulfill that duty regardless of what anybody else do. I'm not going to do it, or if she like this, then I'm going to be like, nah. I'm going to do my duty according to the Father because he's my friend. See? Read.
Separate thyself from thine enemies,
Separate thyself from thine enemy,
and take heed of thy friends.
and take heed of thy friends. Read.
A faithful friend is a strong defense, and he that hath found such in one have found a treasure.
A faithful friend is what?
Is a strong defense.
Is a strong defense. They know you have faults. Because all people have them. All people has them. But they are defense for you. They're going to make sure, the righteousness and your attributes are highlighted. And they are defense. They're covering your weak parts. They are a shield against the weaknesses. That's what a friend is. See? That's what God does for us. That's what the Most High does for us. Suppose the Most High only highlighted our faults. None of us would make it. But he sees something in us. He sees the image of his son in us. And he only focuses on nurturing and cultivating that part of us. But an enemy will sit there and they'll ignore all the greatness the Most High has in you, only to look for one fault. See? Come on.
Verse 15. Nothing doeth countervail a faithful friend, and his excellency is invaluable. A faithful friend is the medicine of life.
A faithful friend is a medicine of life. It's like a healing. It doesn't matter what the world does and what you're going through. You know this is where peace is. Read.
A faithful friend is the medicine of life, and they that fear the Lord shall find him.
And those that fear the Lord will send you good friends. But you'll know how to screen them. Now, this is not to walk through life paranoid and looking at everyone as an enemy. The Bible is giving you the insight of not hastily accrediting someone, that they have to work to win that, or don't be quick to give them credit. It took you a long time to get to where you are with the Most High. So they have to work towards getting in that circle to be your friend. Okay? And it is by their deeds. And the Bible gives you the wisdom on how to know, okay, I'm safe with this person. This person will protect me. This person looks out for me. This person, I can rest, and it's like medicine when I'm around this person. Oh man, I was out there, and you know what? You're like, man, and this person isn't judging you and coming down on every fault and dark area of you. Y'all don't excuse wickedness of each other. You hold each other accountable. But you make sure that person is protected amongst others. That's a friend. Anything outside of that is the enemy. Isaiah 9:2. Let's end it with there.
Yes, sir. Just one last verse here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Verse 17. Whoso feareth the Lord shall direct his friendship aright.
Whoever fear the Lord, thank you, other lawyer,
Yes, sir.
shall direct his friendship aright. Why are you looking for friends? Is it to fill a void? And this is what happens. Some people just find someone that you make me happy, and they do all this crap, and they haven't even had this person go through steps to know if they can even trust them. And then when the relationship goes to nothing, oh no, I was tricked, I was this, I was that, I thought this person was that. No, you were supposed to make those steps before the decisions. Now let's break this down with a relationship example. The relationship example is just according to the scriptures. Let's break it down family-wise. Women don't choose a man. Her father chooses the man. Because before he even deal with the young lady, the father have already laid out the ground rules of what will happen if his daughter is harmed. So he don't have to contend with what's going to happen if he does something against this woman. It's already established that, listen, the agreement is if you can't do what I'm telling you to do, because no one can love her and understand what she needs more than me. I raised her. So if you can't abide by my rules, because I'm giving her to you to raise her beyond the years I can. Right? So that's the structure of a family, how the Hebrews did it. It wasn't no he was cute, he's this, he's that. No, the father gives away the daughter, period. And it must be with rules that if he break the rules, he have to contend with a man. And guess what? It happened like that. And look how long Sarah and Abraham stayed together. Look how long, you don't hear about no divorces. And these people didn't know each other like that. They developed the love in the relationship. The duty came first, with the father dictating and charting his legacy through his children. So we out here looking for love and all this to fulfill something. No, we have to get things back in order to break the dysfunctions in our community and stop letting people just choose based on feelings. Everything comes down to what? Being a friend with God, and then a man of the Most High setting things up, and he's doing what's best for his sons, teaching his sons to be leaders, and giving his daughter to a learned man with an agreement that if he breaks something, then guess what? If you break something, I'm breaking something. See, and this is how we kept families intact and friendships intact, because the first level of friendships came with the Most High, our household, and that extended in family. Friends.
Whoso feareth the Lord shall direct his friendship aright, for as he is, so shall his neighbor be also.
So as he is, so shall his neighbor be also. Like, for instance, I'll teach someone if they would like to learn. But I'm not going to be a friend with a Buddhist. I'm not going to be a friend with a pagan Christian. Our values don't align. I believe in the laws of God. I believe in Christ like that person does, but this person don't respect God's law. That means what they don't know through ignorance is going to hurt my circle. I can guide you, I can teach you, but you can't be my friend. See? Are you following me here? Let's go to Isaiah 9 and 2.
Isaiah chapter 9, verse number 2.
Read.
The people that walked in darkness have seen great light.
The people who walked in darkness have seen great light. Guess what, folks? I'm no better than anyone else. Neither did I ever claim to be better than you, because I was in the darkness. The majority of us, a lot of you was in the darkness, just like these people who are making grave decisions. It was just through the grace of the Most High that he has given us this opportunity.
That's right.
Read.
The people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. They that dwell in the land of the shadow of death.
They that do what? Dwell.
In the land of the shadow of death.
Who have dwelled in the land of the shadow of death, where everyone, every place is choosing death right now. Read.
Upon them have the light shined.
Upon us have the light shined. Just like the light shined at the face of the deep in the beginning. There was wickedness at the face of the deep. Christ shined into that light and put a firmament around it and made a place for judgment for those who would disobey. And the same way we were in our neighborhoods with all types of death. Guess what? Every week I was hearing about a new guy dying, getting shot, sisters getting shot in the schoolyard, and all that stuff was going on. We were living in the valley of the shadow of death, drug dealers on the corner, and all that. But Christ shined in that darkness and said, you know what? Not you. I'm going to preserve you for a time appointed to help this darkness. And he shined through that light. Christ did. Because no one expected anything good to come out of our upbringing, where we lived. Christ shined through that darkness and made friends. Where it's no longer blaming each other for the chaos and the darkness, but making a way out through the light of Christ. See, and that's what it's all about. It's all about choosing your friends carefully and understanding that only 10% is going to make it anyway. And setting in order what we have control over. We can't save the world. The world is done. But we have full authority of what goes down in our homes and what spirit resonates from our homes. We have control and power over how our children understand and take on the knowledge of the Most High and become a what? A constructive, positive force to be reckoned with going forward. And through that, we make a friend. Who's that friend? Who's that friend that shined through on us? Yeshua, Christ. And it's upon us to have our lives, present our lives as a living sacrifice to make more friends of him. By going to people, spreading the word, and guess what? And letting those who choose death, guess what? Allow them to choose the God they serve. Death. With that, know your enemies and value your friends. I hope this has been a very, very enlightening, encouraging lesson. And this also dovetails and goes into what we're going to be going into around week 6 of the Hebrew and Bible Academy, 6 or 7. We're going to break down relationships, marriages according to the Bible. Can it last? Can that last? Okay. Now, can marriage last? It's going to be in the academy. Tomorrow we're going into the promises of Abraham. Now, before you all go, I said the other day that I'm going to be going into the apologetics and all that. I don't have time to do it today, but in a nutshell, I'll be dealing with this in the news, and I'll be covering this also in some of our Wednesday broadcasts. There's a guy, let me get it here. There's a guy, okay, great. There's a guy that's been following Israelites who go by the name of Vocab Malone. You may have seen this guy. You may have seen this guy that came from a Jesuit school, Loyola, a Jesuit school, which is Ignatius Loyola, a Jesuit, a Catholic priest. But what y'all didn't know, I'm going to show you all this real quick. And I'm going to be going into it in more detail in the future. This is what you didn't know. Let me get it here. Let's see. 1 second. One moment. Yeah, let me show you. That the Jesuits all have a plan through the Christian church to eventually demonize Israelites, to turn Israelites into some level of a terrorist group within the United States. And that this is a Catholic Jesuit ran, Zionist ran agenda. Right? I showed this last Wednesday. Let me put it on the screen. Wherein, let's see. In 2015, Phoenix pastor witnessed to Islamist gunmen who stormed the Raleigh in Texas, where it talks about this guy here, which is nothing more than an actor, and I'm going to prove that, was supposed to switch now the Islamic terrorists of Arabs into blackface now. So instead of it being Muslims or Arabs, the new religious extremists would switch from Muslims or Arab looking Muslims to black extremists. So this guy was a part of this. Here's the names, and I'm going to go into it more in the academy tomorrow. Michael Ashcroft and Mark Ellis. Wait till y'all find out about these guys. But anyway, all of a sudden in 2015, there was a guy by the name of, if you want to believe this is his real name, John the Apostle, Mark the Apostle, Vocab Malone. So before he was following Israelites and assaulting and assailing Israelites to try to provoke them into some level of an altercation, because that's what he's hired for, he first came up with a story here, led by CNN, that he was a friend with this black Islamic terrorist who spoke admirably of Osama bin Laden. What a coincidence. Before the Islamic gunmen stormed a free speech rally armed with an assault rifle, that's for gun control. Okay. So everything is being covered in this article. He stormed the free speech rally armed with an assault rifle. Phoenix pastor John Mark Vocab Malone Reeser, he's no more than Amalek, he's the devil, witnessed to him. Now, what a coincidence that this guy, Vocab Malone, was able to witness to a black extreme Muslim right before he stormed a crowd with a rifle and was taken down on his jihad mission within the United States. I told y'all in 2008, 2009 that they're going to switch this Muslim extremist crap and make it blackface, that it had nothing to do with Arabs. Right? And here's the guy who says, what? You got it. When I heard about the attack, I wasn't surprised, said Reeser, a teacher pastor at Roosevelt Community Church. I've expressed admiration for jihad before. And he told me, oh, there it is. No one to corroborate this story because it's all made up. He told me Osama bin Laden was a hero. Oh, ain't that cute? They got a witness and before he was put on Israelite detail, he was used to switch the narrative from Islamic extremists to black people. Ain't that something? So now let's check this out now. Let's check this out. All right. There's more. There is more. Let me just put this to the side for 1 second. All right. Matter of fact, hold on. Let me put that back up here. Let's go down here. Right. Get that one out of the way. And it's something I need to show y'all real quick. Check this out, folks. You're not going to believe this. Fair use. Fair use. Oh, yeah. Check this out, folks. That's your phone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's fine. Just wanted to make sure. Fair use. Not that one. That it? Not that one. Matter of fact, let me take this down. Check this out, folks. All right, let's do it this way then. Oh, there we go. Folks, here's a story from 2015. Fair use. Here's a story they were talking about. Fair use. CNN, 2015. Let's listen to this real quick, and I'll go into this more in the academy tomorrow. Oh, let me get the other one. Just this one, because I don't want to mess that up. I only eat one. Right? Let's hear what they have to say here.
It recharges your iman as well. When you come together and you pray 5 times a day with the brothers.
For the very first time, we are seeing and hearing from Elton Simpson himself.
Fair use, fair use. For educational purposes only.
Known as Ibrahim to his fellow Muslims, speaking in a 2012 video to raise funds for his new mosque, reflecting on his faith.
Folks, this is an article from this is a news story from 2012 that was covered 3 years later by Vocab Malone as a black extremist. Made for TV.
Provides for you a form of weaponry to
Fair
go
use.
out into the real world and use that weaponry to shield you against the tricks of the shaitan.
Shaitan or Satan. CNN is also learning the FBI is calling in members of the mosque for what's described as friendly interviews, trying to find out why this seemingly soft-spoken man would take this violent turn. Vocab Malone believes he knows. He's the pastor at Roosevelt Community Church. He also worked with Simpson for 3 years at a...
So he worked with him 3 years at a convenient place. I'm going to show you how these CNN mechanisms work, folks. Totally the enemy is behind all these articles, all these pieces.
delivery company. Pastor Malone recalled...
Pastor Malone, this guy don't have no congregation. He was used back then to demonize us and turn the Arab extremist movement towards black people. This was before he was placed on Israelite detail.
arguing theology with Simpson for hours upon hours.
I was surprised but not shocked. I wouldn't put it past him because I understood the sincerity of his beliefs and he had expressed to me admiration specifically for Osama bin Laden. He used the word hero.
Why do you think he took that step?
My guess is he felt as if no one was doing anything.
So now he's speaking totally for this particular character, because this lone gunman was shot down, as CNN would have it. Now, this guy is the narrative for black extremists in America. This was before he was put on Israelite detail, folks. Now blacks become the face of terrorism. This was the plan, knowing that Israelites would one day rise to the point where we would have a strong influence on our communities to bring our people back to the laws of God. They came up with this Muslim extremist garbage to pivot against Israelites and call Israelites terrorists. And who's behind this? There you go. Now you notice if you type in his name, Vocab Malone, the majority of his videos are now against Israelites. So now what we need you all to do is to prepare for when one of these engagements turns into something terrorist and he report on it as if it actually happened. So I'm getting in front of this now because the same way they did it 3 years ago, and they prepped it 2012 to 2015 to have this guy as a spokesperson to change the narrative to make black people the face of terrorism, is now how they have propagated or put them in position to chase Israelites everywhere, to go any place we are, to make a narrative to paint us negatively, only so that he at the end of it would be at the end of these interviews. See that? Now I wanted to put that out there so that you all can get in front of it. This guy is a plant. He has nothing to do with Christianity. He has nothing to do with the proper etymology or breakdown of scriptures. He's not a pastor. He's an evildoer that's being used to attack our people. See that? Now, last but not least, let me pull this up now. Last but not least, going back here one moment before we end, there's a Philo report, right, where they started charting African American attitudes towards Israel through the Philo's report. Now, this was something that Vocab Malone covered that I actually looked into and say, man, that's deep. 80% of churchgoers are black people. So they started doing a census to find out the sentiments of the black church, whether or not we were turning towards understanding that blacks in America are the true children of Israel. Well, they took some data and wasn't satisfied with the numbers. Well, the data from the Philo's report, which I'll go into soon, not today, is the first shots over the barrel. That if they can prove that blacks believe that they're the children of Israel, this data can be used to ramp up a campaign to destroy the black church altogether, because the black church have worn out its usefulness. Its usefulness was to keep us from ever realizing that we were the children of Israel. Right? Now, when you go into the report, Lifeway, the Philo's report, it breaks down and give us the directors of these particular people who are actually watching us and charting data on us in the churches in our community. And then it's this guy, Scott McConnell, who led the research on black churches to see whether or not we were finding out we were Israelites. All from the same circles, Baptist Press, the controller of the Baptist church. So they came up with data to see whether or not they can control us through the churches anymore. And they got guys like him, Scott McConnell over Lifeway to do the research on black churches. And who is in charge of him? This guy by the name of Robert Nicholson, who was used during the war in Iraq and others to demonize Islamic extremists overseas. This guy right here is over the Philos Project by the name of Robert Nicholson, who states, when you do the research on this guy is a straight Zionist. They all link together. The synagogue of Satan targeting our people. When you read this guy's resume, it says, is president of the executive director of the Philos Project. He holds a BA in Hebrew Studies from Binghamton University. And it says, in Middle Eastern history from Syracuse University. He was a Marine. Okay. He founded, him and fellow Robert, Tikva fellow Robert founded, it says Robert founded the Philos in 2014 to simulate a new generation of religious and cultural exchange between the Near East and the West Robert serves. On the board of directors of Passages and the advisory board of In the Defense of Christians, his written work was appeared in the Wall Street Journal, New York Post, and the Jerusalem Post, Newsweek, Providence, First Things, The Hill, and the American Interest. Now, I want y'all to see this real quick. So he wrote this piece in 2019 that it's now okay. We can back off of Arabs now as the threat. This guy wrote a piece in Providence to say that, listen, no longer are we going to look at Arabs as the threat anymore. This same guy, Robert Nicholson, pivoted from the Arabs to now target through the Philos Projects the black church, us knowing we Israelites, as the enemy that should be focused on now. Now, all of this news I'm going to be going into detail in the academy. It's so much to go through, folks, but this is an orchestrated plan by the demonic Zionism led by the Roman Catholic Church and the Jesuits to get in and to stoke some type of sentiments to claim that blacks who believe in Christ, who are Israelites, are terrorists. So folks, you think this research is something. We got it from nuts and bolts. We know what schools they're from, all of that, folks. This is Jesuit 101. An attack on the awakening. And our people aren't bothering anybody. Our people ain't looking to blow up anything. We're not looking to harm anyone. But yet they've moved from Arab extremists and they're trying to create a story that would make blacks the enemy be in Israel. Because we claim to be Israelites and our people are no longer going for the lies of the Christian church. They have dissolved the Christian church and putting people down and are now looking to frame a story that would deem Israelite terrorist. AC, I'm going to need you to make sure when you get this, cut this, and we're going to put this part up on GOCC Media because I have to do not GOCC Media. Cut this and put it on GOCC Media, but I'm going to do a complete breakdown and research on these sects, Catholic and all that. Okay, and we're going to move them into a lesson that we're going to do for the Patreon because some of this stuff cannot be on YouTube. Okay, and again, I'm getting in front of it first because a lot of people, this guy is showing up on Sonetta TV. He's all over the place. He's looking for a way in to demonize Israelites as the go-to guy when they hatch their false flag. When they hatch the false flag, he's going to be the go-to guy. Okay? Because they did it before. And other Israelites are falling for this. They're debating points of Christianity when we are beyond that already. We don't have to argue with the devil about our book anymore. Okay? He's a plant. He was always a plant. And any of our people that agree and give this guy a platform or get him, understand you got the enemy, an agent amongst you if you are around this guy. Okay? And we have more. But with that, I think there's no better way to conclude this broadcast of know your enemies and value your friends. With that, hey, there's a lot more. We thank you for your support. If these particular lessons have helped you, continue to support the church. As you can see here, $GOCC 144 donate is how you Cash App us. Okay, if you don't have Cash App, you can go through PayPal or any other source. Go to gatheringofchrist.org, look at donate, and the other options will be there. But if you have Cash App, $GOCC 144 donate, support this work. It's a lot of research, a lot of things we have to do to set up churches. We got a brand new church in Florida that's about to open up in Orlando. So guess what? We're putting these finances to work and to gather our people, our friends together before, that's right, the Babylonian bounds. Support the work, $GOCC 144 donate. And I heard that enrollments are still open. So if you want to be in the academy, see some of the news I'm going to be going over like I've just showed you in detail tomorrow, you can still get in. Go to historytimes.org. We'll send you the past lessons and we'll get you in for tomorrow, our lesson, the promised seed. Where are the Israelites in the earth, and are we the chosen people according to promise like we claim? Well, you can find that out tomorrow in the Hebrew and Bible Academy if you go to historytimes.org and enroll. With that, stay prayed up, sin not. We will soon see Zion, and that's right, the Most High is calling back Israel. Shalom.
Shalom.
The east is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel.
That's right, folks. Wake up, Israel.
721 BC. The Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With a great escape, we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. The 12 tribes of Israel. That's who we be, Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Valley from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans. The highest gathering Israel. The Arabs and Africans told us
At gunpoint.
to gather our wives and children, then sold us. In the belly of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here. Gather us. Asher in Colombia, Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans. A highest gathering Israel. Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians. A highest gathering Israel.
in Colombia, Ruben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans. That's who we be. Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians, Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, Naphtali from the islands of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans.